Good evening, friends. You are most welcome to Think Ice channel. Today we are going to discuss practicing anthropology, in which we are going to discuss cultural differences and physical health. Let us begin the topic. Here we will need to understand that besides mental aspects of health, the impact of culture on physical health is also an important area of study in health and culture. It is important to mention that cultural differences and its impact on physical health does not imply that cultural variation is the sole cause for occurrence of all types of diseases. This is due to the fact that irrespective of the cultural group to which one belongs, we will find the occurrence of some diseases which are either genetically determined or acquired. Some diseases, on the other hand, are believed to be caused by the influence of the varied socio-cultural factors, and they are experienced, expressed, and treated as per the accepted mode of health seeking behavior of that particular cultural settings. Genetically determined diseases. One hereditary blood disease, sickle cell anemia, is so called because the blood cells contain abnormal hemoglobin, and when the supply of oxygen is low, these cells, rather than being rounded, adopt the quarter moon shape of a sickle. As a consequence, the supply of oxygen to vital organs may be reduced or interrupted. This may result in progressive organ failure and brain damage. The sickle cell gene has a high frequency of occurrence in a number of countries, especially western parts of Africa and southern India. Sickle cell anemia may be genetically determined, but it is important to note that although more common in black people, it appears to result not from race but from geographical origin. Williams et al. 1994. In Africa, it is believed to have occurred for hundreds of years along the Nile and to have an adaptive function to increase resistance to malaria transmission from the mosquito Anopheles species. Giger and David Deezer, 1999. Sickle cell anemia is, of course, just one of many genetically determined blood diseases that occur with different frequencies across cultural groups. For those involved in diagnosing and treating such diseases, knowledge of these cultural variation is vital. McLachlan, 2006. A second example of a genetically determined disease is lactase deficiency, which is caused by a recessive gene with high penetrance. The symptoms of lactase deficiency become apparent when an individual consumes milk-based products. In older children aged 6 to 7 years and above and adults, the consumption of milk results in abdominal distension, flatulence, abdominal pain and discomfort, and occasionally diarrhea. It is a product not of genetics alone, but of an interaction between environmental, actually eco-cultural factors and genetics. Once again, because of genetic basis of lactase intolerance, its incidence varies geographically. People of Chinese descent do indeed appear to have one of the highest levels of lactase intolerance. McLachlan, 2006. Acquired diseases. Nutritional rickets refers to faulty or inadequate bone growth, and it has proved a particular problem among Asian immigrants in Britain. Black, 1989, describes a number of factors contributing to rickets in Asian children: inadequate exposure to sunlight, possibly as a result of the Muslim custom of covering the arms and legs, a strict vegetarian diet, especially for Hindus, use of cow's milk for infant feeding, having little vitamin D, maternal deficiency of vitamin D, and a poor uptake of vitamin preparation. The Stop Rickets and Asian Mother and Baby campaigns specifically targeted Asian communities in Britain. These initiatives These initiatives aim to create awareness of the role of vitamin D in maintaining good health, with programs recognizing that each cultural groups had to be targeted in a manner that acknowledges differences in their dietary customs, religious beliefs, and socio-economic conditions. Once again, this example of nutritional rickets in immigrants' Asian communities illustrates direct links between cultural customs and physical disease. However, these campaigns have also been criticized for problematizing the culture of immigrants rather than recognizing socio-economic aspects of rickets as a disease of poverty. Nutrition, culture, and health. Cultural factors are reflected on the blood habits and its differential distribution to the people. Therefore, the study of dietary habits of a group of people is important before undertaking any study on their disease pattern, its treatment, and remedial measures. Food and nutrition and health are intimately connected aspects of our life. Food as an integral part of social existence, which defines our health status, is also considered as a medium for establishment of social rapport. Instances of food served or tabooed at different ceremonies, religious festivals, etc. Nutrition involves intake of food which is necessary for our life to grow, to keep healthy and to get energy for work and play. Body requires different nutrients for health and growth. The term nutrition and health are synonymous. As without good nutrition, proper health cannot be ensured. Malnutrition may fail to ensure the tempo of normal growth at a normal rate. In order to promote the highest level of physical and mental health throughout one's life, it is necessary to get the essential nutrients in correct amount and proper balance. Good, adequate, and optimum are terms applied as prefixes to indicate the quality of nutrition. Shukla et al. 1990. The study of dietary habits of a group of people is of utmost importance before undertaking any study on their disease pattern, its treatment and remedial measures. Cultural factors are reflected on the food habits and its differential distribution to the people. Poor economic condition imbalances the diet and also ruins the health of the families. For instance, the Garos, being basically rice eaters, take curry of pulses, vegetables, fish, meat of any animal, and egg along with rice. They realize boiled food and rarely fry their items in oil or take spicy food. Both the habits tend to check the ulcer or gastric related problems. The Garos also consume a large quantity of alkali water extracted from plant ash in their diet. This practice most possibly neutralize any acid formation in stomach and thereby automatically checks any ulcer formation. The low prevalence of the degenerative disease, example ulcer, among the Garos perhaps could be due to the dietary habits of the people. Hassan 2008. Important sources, functions, and deficiency symptoms of various nutrients adapted from Shukla et al. 1990. Let us begin. Nutrients, rich resources, essential functions, and deficiency symptoms. Our nutrient is protein. Rich resources are milk, legumes, nuts, cheese, meat, fish, eggs. Essential functions: repair and growth of body tissues and body defense. Deficiency symptoms: weak muscles, retarded mental reactions, lower resistance to disease. Second nutrient is carbohydrates. Rich resources: sugar, rice, potatoes, and other tubers. Essential function: production of heat and energy. Deficiency symptoms: loss of weight. Nutrients: fats. Rich resources: oil, fat, butter, ghee, meat fats. Essential function: production of heat and energy. Deficiency symptoms: loss of weight, retarded growth. Fourth is vitamin A. Functions resources are all vegetables, yellow fruits, tomatoes, and fish oils. Functions growth, health of eyes, skin, and mucous membrane. Deficiency caused retarded growth, night blindness, susceptibility to infections. Vitamin B1 sources are yeast, groundnuts, pulses, dry chilies. Functions growth utilization of carbohydrates, proper functioning of heart, nerves, and muscles. Deficiency caused retarded growth, loss of appetite and weakness, palpitations, and nerve disorders. Vitamin B12 sources are milk, meat, liver. Functions are formation of blood. Deficiency cause pernicious anemia. Vitamin B6 sources are green vegetable, liver. Functions are growth, health of skin, proper working of muscles and nerves. And deficiency cause convulsions in children. Vitamin C citrus fruits and tomatoes. Functions growth, tissue repair, health of blood vessels. Deficiency cause bleeding gum, poor wound healing. Vitamin D sources milk, liver, eggs, and fish. Functions growth, utilization of calcium and phosphorus, health of bones and teeth. And deficiency cause rickets, poor development, and decay of teeth. Folic acid sources are green vegetable, liver, pulses. Functions are formation of blood. Deficiency cause anemia in infants and pregnant women. Calcium, milk, and milk products. Functions are formation of bones and teeth, activities of heart and muscles, clotting of blood, etc. And deficiency cause poor bone formation, dysfunctioning of muscles. And last is iron. Sources are cereals, pulses, meat, vegetables. Functions are formation of blood. Deficiency cause anemia. From the above table, we are able to get an idea about the degree of interrelationship and interconnection or interconnectedness between nutrition, health, and disease. Here, it is pertinent to note that food habits which differ from group to group reflect the way a culture standardizes behavior of individuals in relation to selection of food and pattern of eating. According to the UNESCO publication entitled Culture Pattern and Technical Change, where food practices reflect cultural structuring and values, any change introduced into the society may produce imbalance. Shukla et al. 1990. The vegetables and the different types of animal meat consumed by the Garos supply all the essential minerals, carbohydrates, and protein in abundance. Tubers of a number of species which are rich in carbohydrate are abundant in the area. The villagers are very much aware of the fact that protein, mineral, fat, carbohydrate, etc., which are necessary for the growth of human body, can be acquired from the locally available common edibles. It is believed that in some diseases, particular types of food are prescribed to regain the resistance power and restore the balance. However, certain other types of food are to be avoided in certain diseases. For example, in case of some ailments like chickenpox, non-vegetarian diets are to be avoided. A person afflicted with skin diseases is to refrain from consuming eggs. The people believe that when a person suffers from diarrhea, plenty of fluids such as the juice of lemon, coconut, etc. should be given. Hassan 2008. Traditional healing, its relation to disease and cultural understanding of the human body. We are already aware of side effects of modern medicine, but here it is important to point out that people opting for the indigenous mode of treatment or traditional healing practices also at times suffer from side effects. There are many instances when people seeking remedy under the traditional systems of medicine have instead exhibited certain other physiological reactions besides the already existing diseases. Such side effects are more common when people opt for spiritual treatment provided by the traditional medical practitioner. The repercussion, especially on the mental health of the patient undergoing such treatment, are worth mentioning. Coin rubbing is a traditional practice common among Vietnamese people, but this can produce lessons of the skin. Lessons on the skin. In some unfortunate cases, these marks have been misinterpreted as indication of physical child abuse. Some people of Chinese origin believe that pinching or squeezing either side of trachea will alleviate persistent coughing. This procedure can produce considerable bruising, which might also be misinterpreted. Nevertheless, it is important to recognize each of the above practices in their cultural context. McLachlan, 2006. McLachlan, 2006. Anthropologists, particularly practicing anthropologists undertaking health studies, need to remember that such kind of practices are to be explained in the context of culture where it occurs through proper understanding of the side effects resulting from adherence to certain traditional health care practices. Attempts may be made to create awareness for changing such undesirable practices or adopting a modified, safe, and acceptable replacement, which thereby hints at the need for culture specific understandings of the human body. The different perceptions that exist among different cultural groups regarding the functioning of the human body very clearly shows the interrelationship between the health and culture. In this context, a particular cultural group will provide an explanation of the various physical, psychological, nutritional, or spiritual influences which causes disease and ultimately creates an imbalance of the human body. Culture and the treatment. Now we need to acknowledge that culture plays an influential role on the multidimensional aspect of health, of which treatment is an integral part. A recent development in thinking about culture and treatment is the recognition of the possible role of culture as treatment. Culture affects the way in which patients and healers receive and define illness and influence the choice and decisions with respect to the treatment of illness. Disease and cure systems are universal phenomena. Every society, irrespective of its technological level, over the centuries devised methods of meeting the challenges of disease. The realm of the cure, so to speak, concerns itself with the physical and mental welfare of individuals in their respective family and social contexts. Soltex, 1976. Medicine appropriateness is evaluated both in terms of illness and patient characteristics. The afflicted's relative strength, age, previous experience with medicine, and special disposition, example pregnancy, all influence perceptions of medicine's suitability. Health systems within a culture group, which includes either or both traditional and modern medicine facilities, reflect many understandings of the health. Traditional medicine also referred to as folk medicine, ethnomedicine, or popular medicine is primarily concerned with the study of various aspects of folk taxonomy of disease, indigenous, preventive, and curative measures, the role of folk medicine, man and relationship between the medicine and socio-cultural setting. Ethnomedical systems has its very root in the cultural settings and thus the whole working of and the behavior pattern relating to the healing practices are interwoven in the cultural matrix of the people. The systematic and integrated study of the system of medicine pledges to unfold the total understanding of the socio-psycho-cultural interaction in the sphere of public health and hygiene. The WHO defined traditional medicine in 1976 at a meeting at Brazzaville as the sum total of all knowledge and practices, whether applicable or not, used in diagnosis, prevention, and elimination of physical, mental, or social imbalance, and relying exclusively on practical experience and observation handed down from generation to generation verbally or in writing, cited in Medi et al. 2004. The indigenous patterns of recipes are the result of the close set process of orientation of cultural tradition with the religious sentiments, psychological perspectives, economy, moral ideas, and social values, as well as therapeutic processes. It is to be noted that this indigenous pattern of medicine is characterized by the age old experience on human body in relation to the surroundings, both natural and supernatural tradition knowledge. Plurality in therapeutic and health seeking behavior. The status, growth, and evaluation of coexisting therapy systems are influenced by cultural ideology, ecology, political patronage, and changing social institution. Allopathy, Ayurveda, homeopathy, and Unani are the various components of medical pluralism in the Indian context. Bhasin, 1997. Any healthcare system, especially in rural areas, exhibit the presence of various impinging factors which has resulted in the existence of plurality in their therapeutic and health seeking behavior in view of the plurality of treatment options. In view of the plurality of treatment options, perception of medicine compatibility is based on the expectation of the patients who speculate the time period for achieving the complete cure after consuming the medicine. Reflection. Patients or clients ought not to be the object of our activity but the subject of our concern, and we must be concerned with how their experience of the world contributes to the problems which they present. To quote Ackernacht, 1945, there are a great variety of ways of handling the sick person, ranging from abandonment and contempt to extreme devotion and care. These attitudes, which are extremely revealing as to the general philosophy of a society, can be quite competently observed without the acquisition of the diploma from a medical school. The existence of both traditional and modern medicine has resulted in plurality of treatment options. The selection of a particular mode of treatment is based on the various socio-cultural dimensions and that tend to influence the health-seeking behavior of a particular community or cultural group. Culture and health services. For practicing health professionals, it is timely to take pluralism or diversity into account to re examine the important role culture plays in how people view and make decisions about their health. We all need periodically to re examine our own cultural and professional biases and to be cognizant of the current diversity in the communities we serve. Mansa, 1993. Clean Man, 1980, has suggested that there are three overlapping sectors of healthcare that constitute the healthcare system of all societies. His point is that although the content of these sectors differ across cultures, their structure is the same. Essentially, the healthcare system is structured into popular, folk, and professional sectors. Each of these sectors offer a particular approach to understanding the cause of and prescribing treatment for illness or disorder. The popular sector comprises of lay or non-professional who discusses about the ideas related to health and diseases. Such ideas and in discussion and they are never formulated for planned action in the healthcare system. Quite in contrast, the professional sector comprising of organized health professionals mainly from the scientific medicine background has been successful in terms of setting the health agenda and making the medical profession superior to all other and secular healers to all other approaches to healthcare. इसको फिर से देख लेते हैं. The popular sector comprises of lay or non-professional who discusses about the ideas related to health and diseases. Such ideas and in discussion and they are never formulated for planned action in the healthcare system. Quite in contrast, the professional sector comprising of organized health professionals mainly from the scientific medicine background has been successful in terms of setting the health agenda and making the medical profession superior to all other approaches to healthcare. The third sector, that is the folk sector, comprises of sacred and secular healers. This sector takes into consideration some aspect of popular and professional sectors. There are different approaches to ascertain the cultural sensitivity of health services. One approach is to conduct consumer satisfaction survey in order to learn whether the health needs of different cultural groups are fulfilled. The basic health concern of the people should always be kept in mind. In any kind of study or cultural sensitivity, we need to understand the cultural sensitivity of health services of a particular cultural group in relation to other cultural groups. That is, studies should be conducted in cross-cultural perspectives. Findings from such studies will definitely help planners and policymakers to formulate plans and programs for development of the health settings. Global health. Global health highlights the inseparable relationship between the health and culture. Global health recognizes the interconnectedness of the health problems and health solutions, acknowledge the broader social, political, and economic context that give rise to many health inequities, and recognizes the importance of developing a strong and resilient health delivery systems in contrast to narrowly focusing on individual treatment regimes. McLachlan 2006. This world is home to so many varied cultural groups and communities. As part of the multicultural world, we need to adopt a meaning-centered approach and tolerate the widely different understanding of disease and disorder across cultures. Global health emphasis on cooperative actions and solution of health problems, and this can be possible only when attempts are made to understand health problems transcending national boundaries. Here we need to understand the fact that all health problems across cultures and across national boundaries can be best dealt with collectively, and attempts are therefore made to facilitate easy accessibility of health services. Global health acknowledges that health will be affected in the same manner by similar factors across culture and boundaries. Summary. A complete and exhaustive study of practicing anthropology necessitates an understanding of health and culture. The interrelationship between health and culture is truly complex and needs an understanding of the kaleidoscope of causes, experiences, expressions, and treatments for the plethora of human ailments. Culture, which is nothing but learned and shared human behavior encompassing health behavior, deeply influences the understanding of health and medicine. In other words, culture is a principal determinant. In other words, culture is a principal determinant of personal health behaviors and professional practices of medicine. The concept of culture is therefore fundamental to comprehend the health conditions of human populations, thereby enabling us to cope and protect ourselves from disease or infirmities by adopting preventive and curative methods as a means of adjusting to the interplay of varied physical and social environments. Health practices are therefore not independent of culture in any society, and the socio religious belief and practices have various health implications in human societies. Culture bound syndromes, which reveals the presence of symptoms unique to a particular cultural groups or communities, tends to affect the mental health of the sufferer. Besides mental aspect of health, the impact of culture on physical health is also an important area of study in health and culture. It is important to mention that cultural differences and its impact on physical health does not imply that cultural variation is the sole cause for occurrence of all types of diseases. This is due to the fact that irrespective of the cultural group to which one belongs, we will find the occurrence of some diseases which are either genetically determined or acquired. The different perception that exist among different cultural groups regarding the functioning of the human body very clearly shows that interrelationship between health and culture. In this context, a particular cultural group will provide an explanation of the various physical, psychological, nutritional, or spiritual influences which causes diseases and ultimately creates an imbalance of the human body. Health and culture thus play an influential role on the multidimensional aspect of health, of which treatment is an integral part. Medical anthropologists have important contributions to make to health services research and health communication by grounding investigation of resources supply and demand, service accessibility, service accessibility and acceptability in their live worlds of local population. Anthropologists may help their public health colleagues better understand patterns of healthcare utilization and expenditure. The role of medical anthropologists in health services research and health communication can proactive, critical, and committed to community-based problem solving. Nicter 1992. Global Health highlights the inseparable relationship between health and culture. Practicing anthropologists can thus use their knowledge, skills, and facilitate change for the betterment of the health status of the communities and people across cultural boundaries, and the interplay of cross cultural knowledge can play a vital role in assisting practicing anthropologists for research and action around the globe. Thank you very much.